tonight. Thank you to everyone that's in the chat. Oh, I say, young Douggee has been at it, seemingly. So I decided to come into the body of the Kirk this evening a little earlier. Why is that? We've had to deal with something, and thank you to everyone that defended the channel and defended me and laughed in the face of Douggee. He's not going to like what I'm going to tell him or tell you and talk about this evening. So we'll let people get into the body of the Kirk. We'll get to the parish notes in a moment. I have been thinking over the last few days. There's a book called What to Do About Kevin, which is a very, very good read. And I just thought, now, what to do about Douggee? But I will explain something about my martial art, ninjutsu, because it's a thing. It's a very, very, very beautiful and good thing. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to welcome everyone. I normally start, and tonight has been slightly earlier, so people will join us as we go through this, not realizing that I've started early. So those that are wiping their feet as they come into the body of the Kirk, please do so. There is plenty altar wine and Battenberg at the front. If you're a newbie, I will pop your cherry tonight if you mention anything in the comment, just to let me know that you're a first-timer, first-time viewer, first-time commenter. We welcome everybody. This is a broad Kirk, and we don't judge anyone unless you call les arse. And we don't judge anyone because we realise that we are all merely just making our way through this. We're trying to work out this whole madness that's going on around us in the world, in society, and the violence that's becoming us at the moment. So we're all, in essence, walking each other home. So we are respectful until we're not. And then when we're not, we deal with les arse. Is that plural in French? Oh, it's Douggee, because, look, before he went to jail, because I don't know whether you know this, I'm using Douggee because he used to ring phone-in presenters. And honestly, I don't want tonight to be about him. I want it to be about us and working out how we can make sense of the world. That's what I want tonight's live to be, and every live, including the 200th on Sunday. We'll get into the 200th live, and hopefully you'll be able to not necessarily give me some ideas, because I already have my own. But I do want it to be a collective on Sunday, because 200 lives, I mean, we're talking easily close to nearly 500 hours. Easily. So that's quite considerable, the amount of stuff that we've been doing, and the original stuff that we've been doing. Some of the stuff that I've done on this channel and the lives, nobody else has done, nobody else has got anywhere near, because I've used and if you include my hospital radio, 46 years in radio. And I'm not saying to you 46 years in radio, and it wasn't really a high standard or level of radio. It was professional radio, commercial radio, BBC. I've worked for LBC, Capital Radio, the BBC, all the big groups, Century, Real. My shows were not inconsiderate. But I'll tell you this, I don't tell anyone that I've been in showbiz when all I was doing was playing the fucking piano for the elderly at old folks' homes for years. That's not showbiz. And neither's BBC. It's all I'm going to say is this. We need to laugh. You and I, we can be serious when we need to be serious. But for the moment, we'll laugh. Because les arse. So as I say, in the beginning, before he went inside for 5.5 years, 4 guilty verdicts, so he's a convicted stalker. I'll say that again. He's a convicted stalker. Convicted by a jury, times 4. Sentenced by a judge, consecutive, not concurrent. And all of that money that Douggee was begging for because he wanted to take the BBC, and everybody's forgetting this. I want to take the BBC and I want to take Nottinghamshire Police to court. And did he? No. Is he going to? No. And I know more than I let on here. Because life will deal with him. And when life deals with him, I'll say to you, I told you so. I'm not even going to go anywhere near what I know. I'll just hope that life deals with him. And he can say as much bollocks as he wants. I know. I'm being very gentlemanly about some stuff. And I will maintain my discretion for the moment. But when everything comes to light, because it always does, liars and lies are always found out by life. I'll just say I told you so. And you can come and reference this live, because I won't edit this. You can come and reference this live, and you can say, "May, Adrian, you." Oh, yes. So as I say, at the beginning of the lives, and those joining the body of the Kirk this evening, please smash the likes as you come in. You can wipe your feet as well. We do like a tidy Kirk. I will get into the sermon and tell you what we're going to talk about this evening, but I'm going to read something to you. Now, I get an awful lot of contact away from this screen. People understand my background. They understand what I can do and what I can't do. Sometimes they're not even aware of what you can and can't do. And legally, there's challenges and difficulties. So that's why when I talk about things that I want to talk about, I will either say, this is my lived experience. So legally, there's no redress for anyone. It's my lived experience. I can say anything that I want because I've lived it. And it doesn't matter when we get people in the chat that are just being silly. They're just shadow banned. They'll go, "Oh, but it's free speech. I should be able to say whatever I want." No, the rules of engagement are this. It's very simple. Respect. I can say what the hell I want, but respect. You come onto this channel, or you come onto the chat, and if you're not respectful to other people that are coming here to get understanding and context, and not about Douggee, we're all bored with him. We're bored with his bullshit. If you're not respectful to the people that are newbies and regulars, you can Foxtrot Oscar. And Les Arse has been Foxtrot Oscared tonight. And there's Douggee, bless him. Not a single new idea in his head. Not a single idea in his head. He's now using some of my newer lines. You cheeky bastard. So what I do, and I've said this to you the other night, I'm doing this whilst I welcome everybody into the body of the Kirk. I gave an explanation as to what I've done in radio and why I say the things I do and why I do and how long I've said it for. I've given quite a comprehensive explanation. I don't need to do it again. It's in Sunday's Live if you want to go. It's at the beginning of Sunday's Live. But it's just the evil that is Douggee is tiresome. So, where are we? Right, okay. So, Les Griffiths, welcome to the body of the Kirk, Les, as ever. Another woe is me video from the convicted stalker. His persecution complex knows no bounds. You can say that again, Les. I am aware of what's happening in the background. because people view me as having integrity. And they know that I won't bring any of that detail to here until I get permission. It's not, I mean, I know that this is clicks and likes and subs and it's social media and people might not have the talent. I don't give a flying. Because I've had a modicum of, well, you can call it infamy. I've had a modicum. I've had hundreds of thousands of people listen to me on the radio. Do I want to go for clicks, likes, and subs? This channel is one of the few channels on YouTube that is growing organically. I know those that are buying their subs. I know those that are buying their views. I know those that bellyache about being shadow banned. Well, you should have stopped your gobshitery and not attack YouTube and not attack other people, because we're all just trying to do our best. But Les, welcome to the body of the cook. To Beata, Nosworth Da, says Beata. Good evening. It seems back in court already tomorrow, but not sure why. Pujok now te, Beata. So I wasn't aware of. I saw the very aggressive, harassing post by Les Ars. Now, I will tell you this. Tomorrow, I'm going to speak with YouTube, because when you get anywhere near 10,000 subs, you end up with somebody like a manager that oversees your channel and helps you in whatever way they can. But I am going to speak to YouTube tomorrow. I'm not going to put it here, because I'm going to deal with it effectively, proportionately, and appropriately. But I'm not having anyone with that kind of aggression. And although they've been shadow banned, it's still there. And YouTube can still see those messages. And so can I when I finish this live. And I will. And when Douggee, in particular, was doing all of his stuff, and again, I've told you, he was harassing me and trolling me online. He had multiple profiles. And sometimes, and there are others that did exactly the same thing. I could never understand it, simply because my integrity is I've got one profile. That's it. And it's my real name. That's it. But there are people that would have... Oh, is it really? Just while I kind of do this, is the sound crackling for you? Let me just... I'll take that out and see. I think we've got enough juice to get us through to 10 o'clock. But the reason why I could never work it out was because I have one profile, my real name. I'm not about mucking about in the background. If somebody upsets me, then we deal with it proportionately and appropriately, as I said last night. I fear no man. None. So I'm going to tell you about my martial art, ninjutsu. It's a thing of just outstanding beauty. It's a lifetime's work. So when there is a martial art for everyone. Most of them are sports. So if you look at karate do or anything that ends in do, taekwondo, karate do, they're sports. But anything ending in a tsu, jujitsu, and ninjutsu are the only two. They are a complete art. They are the warrior. In ninjutsu's case, the warrior art. And we train in many different disciplines. Some of the sports, you can get a black belt in a couple of years, 18 months, because it's a business and a sport. And what they do is they try to get you up the belts to keep you engaged, to keep you going regularly. But Ninjutsu, if done properly, you're not going to get anywhere near a black belt within 10 years. Because when the kids come into the dojo, which just means school in Japanese, we want them to play a musical instrument. We teach them how to horse ride. We teach them how archery. We teach them an all-encompassing way of being. And that's why you can tell somebody who is into their martial art and ninjutsu, because they have an unshakable confidence. But within it, I train with swords and knives and sharps, if you wish. I train open-handed combat. We look at varying things at great depth. So if you think about it, ninjutsu is the SAS of the martial arts world. We teach strategy. We teach belief and everything that goes with knowledge and understanding of the human condition and how to deal with people. But words? So I wanted to start this evening. I'm a little early with it. 200 people watching. Thank you very much. If you could smash the likes before we get into everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read something that someone sent me, which is really important. I'm going to read that verbatim, word for word. Received it via email just before I came on air. And then we'll get into the sermon, and I'll explain to you. There's so much I want to talk about this evening. I could keep going until tomorrow night, but we'll see where we get to. But I want to read this. It's vitally important. So if you could be so kind, just hit the likes, so I can get to the level that I want to get to when we're doing this is 200. If everyone that's enjoying this is smashing the likes and we get to 200, it's a signal to YouTube that there's something very important going on. Well, YouTube might not consider it really important, but there is, because we are working life out in its various guises and ways. But I received an email just before I came on air tonight. And I know the person that's written it, but for many different reasons, I'm going to leave them anonymous. But I will tell you this. The person that's written this email, and I'm pointing that because it's kind of on my screen, the person that's written this is a multi award-winning author, has written numerous books on different subjects, so knows publishing, knows how to write a book. So the things that are being said in this email, I will take and consider the written word of an expert, above and beyond anybody that, I mean, this is a multi award-winning author. So I will start, and I will quote verbatim. I won't alter it at all. But I will just say this. This is the email of somebody who knows what they're talking about. Dear Reverend, I'm only a 10th through this book. I take it to be the recently released book of Douggee. Oh, sorry, before we get into this email, you are aware that he's also stolen the title of his book. That's not an original title. TMZ, or TMZ in America, wrote an article about Bear Grylls in 2012. The article by TMZ about Bear Grylls is correct. So Douggee didn't even come up with that title for his book as an original. Now, there is the infinite monkey theory, which if you give enough monkeys, enough typewriters and enough time, they can come up with a work of Shakespeare. In my view, Douggee definitely couldn't. So, in his own worst enemy, that was the title of an article that TMZ published and is still on their website in 2012, 13 years ago. Maybe he's just been unlucky, or maybe he just read it and retained it. So I'll start the email again. I needed to give you that context and insight. I'm only a tenth through this book, His Own Worst Enemy, but I feel so dumbfounded that I can't go on today. It's a psychotic masterpiece. My view is that it was actually written in prisons over a long, festering descent into what won't physically hurt anyone. It really doesn't have the physically confrontational skills, but it has the intent. It's a series of rants written in isolation and fury that has no reality, no remorse, no repair mechanisms. He's a recidivist. In this world of AI manufactured dangers, he's showing his skills and showing his madness. And no one cares because no one understands that AI works without conscience, as it works without consciousness. It's a dead thing. It isn't born. It doesn't breathe or become. It doesn't care. I don't know how long it will take for people to regain the belief that life consists of humanity, humility, belief, spirit, and hope. Douggee is a dead weight. I've changed the name. He destroys everything vital to human process and progress. In short, in this specific, professionally adjudged and observed case, he would be diagnosed in psychiatric terms under the DSM-5 little used category. Bonkers. Subcategory, dangerous. Now, that's the end of the email. That's someone who was reading his book with the title, bizarrely, on TMZ's website. In an article about Bear Grylls, His Own Worst Enemy. Thank you to the very professionally, as they say, in short, in this specific, professionally adjudged and observed case. This is someone who knows what they're talking about. I'm not going to give any further details away because this is YouTube after all. But thank you to the person that has written that and professionally is qualified to say everything in that email. So, thank you to everyone that was in the comment. Firstly, I just want to round on the comments that were made by this person. And thank you to everyone that stood up and tackled this person. I don't know what they said. I just saw the first comment. It was aggressive, unnecessary, and bordering on illegal. So that's why it was deleted. That's why they were shadow banned, because the first comment, in my view, was unnecessary. And secondly, harassing. And thirdly, as I say, bordering on illegality. So they were just gone. I know some others who had come into the body of the Kirk early were seeing that, like Lauren Taylor. Thank you, Lauren. I do appreciate your very kind words. Lauren says, and we still have over an hour to wait. Cool. See you all soon. Evening all. There are none so blind as those who will not see. I can't talk about it. Simply because I can't bring what I know here. And I know that his inability for introspection. And as I've said before, one, I'm only mentioning it this evening right at the very start. I do have an idea. Rather than every single day the tsunami of bullshit and shite and lies, I don't want that to come to here. What I might do is I might do a review once a week and just give you context and insight. Just a little, I don't know, 20-minute review of what's going on. Because a lot of people are incensed by him. And professionally, people are happy to stand by their words and email it to me and say, use it as you wish. You can use it verbatim if you wish. And I have. I've not altered a word except for the name. Because on this channel, he's known as Douggee. So people were calling out this individual. I mean, Les was incensed. Adrian, so there must have been a comment about me, obviously. Adrian jealous of an unfunny. Now, you see, that term, my name and the word jealous, is being used by Douggee on his own channel. Maybe he should take a look at some of the measured, proportionate, and appropriate take on things that I gave, and the advice I gave to his people around him and to him for when he came out and what he could do. But nobody, he's never been wrong. According to his book, he's never been wrong. Well, he went into jail. That's illegal. You can't get any more wrong than that. So Les says, Adrian jealous of an unfunny incel, disowned by his parents and brother, jealous of a convicted stalker. Yeah, right. That's Les's take on it. And as I say, I'm not going to kind of rail on people that have an opinion and want to put it in there, unless, because the attack started early, and the attack was not only on me and my channel, but also the people that come here regularly to try and get some insight into what's going on in the world and to make sense of it all. You start attacking the people that are bright and can see through everything, then Terry Wookfoot, one of the regulars, Lord Wookfoot, said, Beata, the truth is out there. However, some weak-minded people won't believe he is bad. Because of the support and honesty he showed about some things, they refuse to accept his bad side. And there is, all I will say in response to that, there is a very, very, very dark side to young Douggee. And all you need to see is Jimmy Savile was one of the vilest, worst kind of human beings we've ever experienced as a collective. He was a star. He was a celebrity. He was fabulously wealthy. He was fabulously connected. And Douggee wanted to interview him and now does his own Savile impersonation. Doesn't he get the irony? What? Why would you want to do that impersonation of a man so reviled by the country? He had over 500 victims. He wanted to fuck dead people. He wanted to have sex on BBC property with 8-year-olds. Why would you align yourself with that kind of evil character? I've no idea. But I will tell you this. When he went to do the interview with young Jimmy, he was with 2 female producers. And from what I've been told, the female producers sat on Jimmy Savile's knee. Where I'm from, knowing what I know, any man with females around an evil entity like Jimmy Savile should have protected those women. In my view. But so I wanted to bring that to you. What's Bad Wolf Project? So the comments get very busy during the evening. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for your indulgence at the beginning. As I say, my idea is rather than every single live, and we're going to get into 4 lives a week regularly now, I need to do two things. One, is the sound okay tonight on the live? I've taken out the power, so maybe it was that. Sound is popping and farting, says Sean. Well, the Bluetooth isn't on. It isn't working, so maybe I'll tell you what I'll do for the 200th. I've got a little lapel mics. I'll start wearing those, so the sound should be better. No popping. Thank you, Bad Wolf. Nicola, you're wrong and I'm late. Beata, oh, please don't tell me he's... No, Beata, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying... Jimmy Savile was. Jimmy Savile is... Oh, it's crackling for some people. Sorted now. Thank you, Simon. Fingers crossed that it's okay for the next couple of hours. No, I'm not saying that at all, Beata. What I'm saying is that any man that is in a room with one of the worst kind of human beings on every conceivable level. As I say, he was a porter in a hospital and he wanted to have sex with dead people. Fact. He wanted to have sex with children, 8 years old, and he had sex with an 8-year-old girl on BBC property. Fact. And the inquiry into Savile's time at the BBC and others, Harris and others, what was publicised was Tony Blackburn kissed a 16-year-old in the 60s. Nobody talked about Savile raping an 8-year-old child on BBC property. But as I say, if I'd gone to do an interview, and I've told you before about my interaction with so-called radio stars, I've had to threaten some of them. They didn't like it. Took me out to lunch to kind of calm the seas. But as I've told you before, I said to them, you do that again, I'm going to rip your arms off and shove the soggy ends up your arse. They understood what I meant. No, it didn't happen again. It's on my phone, English bottle cap. It's just the iPhone. It's, which one is it, 16, I think? No. 15. So it's fairly new, and it shouldn't be making those noises, but I will have a look at it because I now... So that's that. And I'm not going to take what some people are saying in the chat, because I know some things to be untrue and I know some things to be true. But I will be clear on what I'm saying to you as an audience. I speak to you as an individual. I don't speak to you as a collective. Basic radio principles. I speak to you. And hang on. The only reason, so I've switched the desk fan off. The only reason I've got that there is it's English summertime and it's pretty warm. So thank you, Dale. We'll kind of leave it. If there's no crackling and popping, I'll leave it for a while and I'll switch it back on when I get unbearably warm. So Sunday is the 200th live. Let's just kind of leave that there if we need to, and anybody gets Mike's Alligators. Why do you not try it on a PC? Just because it's easier on the phone. The cameras are better quality than a PC camera. Yes, I operate on a PC, so I'm watching what's being broadcast by YouTube, just in case anything technically goes wrong. So I work on a PC, but I also work on a Mac. So thank you for that, Mike. Napoleon Bonaparte. The good news, though, is this: we get you 4 times a week. You're wrong. Yeah, got to knock me pipe out for you. So what I want to ask you before we kind of get into all the real meaty stuff, and there's lots of it. In fact, let me... So what do you want on Sunday? 200th live, easily going to be over two hours. So what would you like? Would you like a quiz? General knowledge, music and films, like we did last time, 100 questions, and let's see who's any good. And I was I went to a barbecue at the weekend. Was it this weekend? And some guy had done a quiz. And at the beginning, the first round was really tough. Out of 10 questions, I didn't have a single answer. So I was kind of disengaging from it, thinking, oh, I don't know, this is going to be too hard for me. And I'm not bad at retrieving stuff from 40, 50, 60 years. But it was challenging. But then the questions got easier and I was more engaged. And in the end, my team that I was part of, we won the quiz. So I don't make the quizzes to be really, really difficult and challenging. I would like people to kind of get some answers. So we're getting, hang on, Ian McGee wants the Battenberg, must be hungry. Super Ted says, yes, pop quiz. Dale Steele, I'm terrible at quizzes. That's why I make some of them, because I'd like most people that are taking part to get at least 5 or 6 right answers. Dealer's choice, Adrian, what would be your preference? I don't know, Napoleon blown apart. Pauline Makepeace says, I nearly won a quiz this afternoon. The music stumped me, came second. A YouTuber was doing it this afternoon. Oh, wow. Ray Norton, bingo. Different kinds of bingo. Over 100 likes, first 20 minutes. They are getting to know the drill. Brilliant. Are they? Oh, fantastic. Thank you, everyone. So I don't know whether you'd like... so is it going to be music? Because the audience here love anything about music. I mean, we've done lives. We've started. Somebody's mentioned something. For the next 2 hours, we've just talked musical stories and bands and memories and stuff. Or do you want the usual? You know, how we've done our lives for the last 200. DJ, play us some sounds, Adrian. Martin, you're wrongin'. Hang on, Karen Boo, you're late. You're wrongin'. You've missed all the excitement, man. The Bovril, Starmer, Stasi, up to his tricks. 4 more Democrat Labour MP sacked. Only a couple of hundred more to go before Labour suddenly dissolves. Theo Bovril, we are going to talk about that tonight, just not at the moment. Just bingo, bongo, bingo, then, says Ray Norton. Paul Morton says, yeah, phone in. Les must have said a phone in. We are looking at that. Kelvin Edge, The Life and Times of Jimmy Savile. Filth. Scum sucking pond life. And actually, I'm drinking coffee. And for anyone that is a regular, the hibiscus is always on hand, but alcohol-free for the moment. Tarblock Tracy, do the live in the buff. I don't want to put anybody off their dinner. So, no, you're wrong. Not even a mankini. Strip poker, says Ian. Politics quiz then. Ooh. Soul Rebel says to Tarblock Tracy, trust you. Some of my radio stories. Yeah, it's kind of in the moment, Gene, where something will a bit like, you know, the Battenberg story or other bits and pieces. How Des Ashton, that's a very good idea. Right. Maybe we do Des Ashton is suggesting that if we do it once a week and we call it Bell End of the Week. 1 for yes, 2 for no. I'll think of another title. Simon Clarkson, Sunday night pub quiz, taking us both back to our mobile days. Simon, did I? Yeah, we could do that. So, hang on, Gene Cyclics, I did 1 for yes, 2 for no. So, no, few no's. Alan said, sick of Bell End, so we'll think of something else. Douggee works. The man with a spade in his head. Doug, can we try not to mention him for the 200 so not to ruin it? That's a very good point, Luke. Very, very good point. So maybe I kind of, things may happen where you need a daily update. There is that, Terry. Yeah, there is that. Paul Mabley says, apologies for being tardy. I've been chairman. Good to have you in the body of the cook, Paul, as everybody. So, right, okay. I'll work it out I know you love a little politics. I know you love a little general knowledge, but sometimes those kind of quizzes are really difficult. We might have some music, and I know who was the viewer. He said, "Oh, I'm in my 80s and I love the lives, but the quizzes when they sort of get to the 90s and noughties, it's not really my music." So I know my audience. I know the rough age of my audience, the majority. Hang on, where's Phil the Van? Gene Psychic says, "How about the jobs of the week?" Yeah, that might work. Phil the Van, Starmer will just constantly win bell end of the week. Yeah, actually, yeah. But and what I know about Starmer, can't actually broadcast ever. And certain royals. Hello, Adrian. First timer on here, says Tombstones. Tombs for short. There's your consider your cherry well and truly opt. I need to get off the coffee and get onto the hibiscus. Amber nectar. Tea of the gods. So we'll leave young Dougie to one side. I've given you an insight with the email that I received earlier, and that there is no real need for us to continue to talk about him, because I know he feeds off that energy, feeds off it. But as Lord Wookfit says, there might be a need for me to do things at certain times. So, yeah, Sunday, I don't want to do, thank you, Theo Bovril, just to, you know me far too well, Theo Bovril. Yeah, me Tourette's might kick in at some point. So we'll try and make Sunday engaging and fun, and we are genuinely, and for about 18 months we've been looking at trying to get a phone in on, but I do have something called what's it called again? Oh yes, the Rodecaster Pro 2, which is sort of de rigueur for broadcasters. But I now have, because my mate Rob Charles, you might know him from Rock FM. I saw a video by Rob the other day, and seemingly there is a lead that you can take from the Rodecaster into the phone, goes right into the iPhone. So I might be able to play about. We're gonna try and set it up over the next few days. So I'll be able to play sound effects and music, and stuff. And if I want to put old radio shows on or phone-ins, it's just going to be on a key. I'll just hit the key, and it'll make the lives ever so more interesting. So, E. McGee, Grifter of the Week. Oh, that's very good. I'll look at these comments a little later, like tomorrow. Des Aston, perhaps we can have an honorary life bell ends so as not to clog the rosters, i.e. 2-tier. Yes. Right. Thank you to everyone. We need to get into it tonight. So the Simon this evening is, Labour is a busted flush. We're going to talk about the sacking, in essence, of some of the MPs today. Oh, it's my Labour Party, and if they don't play ball, then I will get rid of them. I'm the Prime Minister. I can do whatever I want. Yeah, including Coca-Cola on a contrain. You're wrongin'. So we're going to talk about Labour and its busted flush. We're going to talk about the alphabet people in a respectful way, because, well, the LGBTQ people have bent the police over in a court of law and stuck it right up their derriere. We're also going to talk about Jeremy Vine versus Joey Barton, because you won't get this anywhere in the mainstream media, but there's stuff going on. Barton's down a fair few $100,000. But that's, you can't. This is what I keep saying to you, and I know I kind of go sub judice. It's a legal thing that a lot of YouTubers, well, they wouldn't have that knowledge. But if you start mucking about with a judge in his court and start pissing in the wind and telling everybody it's raining, then judges can have you in and can jail you for subjudice. That has almost happened to former colleagues of mine in radio who thought it was funny. They didn't think it was funny when the judge says, "Get him in here, right? You've been saying this, jeopardizing this court." Sorry. Don't know what that is. We're going to talk about the Seville commitment, as in Seville, as in Spain, the Seville commitment, which I told you about a few weeks ago, that nobody has told you about. No one. And the Seville commitment, because it's an international treaties, means how they've set it up is, I need to tell you in just a little while. We're going to go further with, this little 12-year-old girl in the union dress that went to a diversity day and was isolated and embarrassed by teacher and school. I'm going to tell you what I think should happen. We've done the Douggee, and we're going to talk about Afghanistanis, the influx. So bear with me. We're going to talk about that and other stuff. We're going to talk about America and Trump, because there's an awful lot of spinning going on. There's some of the commentators in America are not happy with him, but you know me. I give you context and understanding. I don't just kind of hector you and shout at you. No, it's I give you context and understanding. Bad Wolf Project. Maya Tusi crying on his channel today that he's being closed down. What? Wow. I mean, I hope Maya Tusi's okay. Maya Tusi crying on his channel today that he's being closed down with his 1.4 million subs. Is he up to 1.4 million? His merch line and his Patreon, same as some others with 4 channels. His add-on, how much is enough? Can I just be really honest with you? Yes, of course, I would like to have a regular wage from this, but that's not the reason why I do this. For me, it's not about the money. Never has been, never will be. Because for me, it's about integrity. The whole thing, authenticity and integrity. So that's why I'm always honest with you. Because I'm not suggesting that anybody is dishonest, but money corrupts people. And also, the elite don't like you getting out of the prison that they like you to stay in. And the prison is only your own mind. So long as I'm not trying to get views and subs. I mean, we've been pottering around at 9,700. It goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down. But that is authentic subs. You won't see me go up 13,000 in a weekend. Not even Mr. Beast gets those kind of subs. Well, let me just say something. Bad Wolf Project is saying that Maya is under threat of being closed down, not shut down. He said that when he was at about 750,000 subs and he had to go to Scotland to disappear. It's a very precarious game, this. That's why I'm straight up and down. Always straight up and down. That's why I dislike liars so much. Because you don't have to lie here at all. You like talking too. Do it for now. I see you. Yeah, but am I going to put food on my table? I appreciate people supporting the channel, and I think the way forward is either some kind of membership, as I say, and doing the interviews ahead so people with memberships see the interviews in full, and then the edited version comes out free on the channel. So maybe that's a way. I'm just looking at all the different options, but it takes a... oh, what's so rebel? He is clickbaity. Well, And there is also something else. If you have to have a team, now I've got some people around me that look after me because technically I'm not the brightest, and they're magnificent. The people that I've got working with me, and they all work for nothing. They just give me their time and their expertise. Some people I know from my radio time, and I'm ever so thankful. Very, very thankful. But there has to be, if I'm to do this full time, then there has to be, a bit like Reiki, there has to be an exchange of energy. I'm not greedy. I don't want millions. I don't, absolutely categorically. But there has to be an exchange of energy. And at the moment, we've got a very good community here, very sharp, very intelligent, and we all just add to the mix. And if, a bit like when I do the political stuff, some people will watch the telly and tell me what's going on because I'm actually broadcasting. And I love all of that. We think we should commission the Rev to produce a documentary called Civilization, a personal view of history's greatest wangers. Brilliant, Des. Sounds okay now, says Les. Right, we'll get on with it. So the sermon, as it is, I want to tell you about... I'm not going to repeat the libel because I'm not that stupid. Because a libel is a libel. It doesn't matter how many times you say it. A libel is a libel. So I'm not gonna say that. But Joey Barton libelled Jeremy Vine, and he's a footballer. He's not expected to know the law per se, because that's what you go to lawyers and barristers for. But he libelled him twice, and a court of law, High Court, found in Jeremy Vine's favour. And I heard the libels and thought, hang on a second. Sorry about Wolf Project. Just a daft Macam. Nick the Geordie has your back. Thank you, Nicholas. So libel it's very precarious. There is opinion, and that's ratified Article 10 of the European Convention for Human Rights. But because I'm technically a reverend, Universal Ministries, I've got the certificate somewhere, Article 9 applies to me. If you're of the cloth, you can't be done. Because if they're acting on behalf of the king, which the courts do, and the king acts on behalf of the big lad upstairs with, the white beard, the halo, the wings, and the harp. So as a reverend, Article 9 of the European Convention for Human Rights applies to me. Hurrah! So, I see you. That's very kind of you. I used to really like Mark Dolan, but his show is a flop. Is he still on? I stopped watching. No, he's gone on to YouTube. He's got a fair amount of subs on X and YouTube. And I know Mark Dolan. I knew him when he was, God blimey, 19. So Mark, I've got a lot of time for. Horses for courses. People can like and dislike. Some people dislike what I do. You like what I do, so that's fine. But Mark worked with me when I was the head of presentation, part of the management team at Liberty 963 when we were in Jazz FM. And Bad Wolf Project, yeah, exactly. So Bad Wolf Project says, so I ask again, how much is enough? No pockets in shrouds. But if you're, just as a little aside, if you're doing YouTube videos that are getting hundreds of thousands of views, and you have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, then it's going to trickle in. It's going to be very nice. But is it about $4.99? I've no idea how much memberships are. We haven't gone that deeply into it. Didn't GB News get rid of Dolan? Says Les. I think so. But then again, with the media, you never know what is a truth and what is an untruth, shall we say. And it's really precarious working in media, having done it for 40 odd years. Very precarious. So some news organizations want to be the establishment because, they just want to be the establishment. I'm not going to go any further than that. Some outlets have people that are there to wind other people up because it gets them a big audience. So the Bovril says Tusi is very good at covering the Middle East. Well, he's got 1.4 million subs. So he's definitely doing something right. Let me just get to Lauren Taylor, who says Mark Dolan was a presenter on GB News from 2021 until he was let go in December 2024. Oh, sorry, that was English bottle cap. Lauren Taylor says, away and shite man, my favourite saying of all time. As a person with Sunderland as a maiden name, I'm owning it. Okay, Lauren, it's had away and shite man. It's a fantastic saying. So if I hear anybody complaining about a woman that's walking around just telling everybody to had away and shite man, I know it's going to be Lauren. Right, let's get into it, man. I've got loads to talk to you about. So we were talking about Vine and Barton. Barton thinking that he could get away with it because, you know, under Article 10 of the European Convention for Human Rights, you can say anything you want. Free speech. There's no such thing as free speech. So Barton found himself in court facing Jeremy Vine and his legal team, and the court found in favour of Jeremy Vine. Barton now, so the barristers or the legal teams met up yesterday, and the court decreed that Joey Barton now has to pay costs, just costs, of over £200,000. So he posted 2 libels on social media. He's also had to apologise twice on his social media platforms. He's had to pay 110,000. That's not the costs. £110,000 in damages. So there's so in the court yesterday, Barton agreed to pay 160 grand costs plus another 40 odd thousand, which is over £200,000 in costs and £110,000 in damages. Now, it was in court last year, so there may not be that much coverage, but it was at the High Court again, and they've ratified how much cost he's got to pay if it's on the drip. So we will get to Labour, the busted flush, and have you noticed how it's we're not getting so much because I think today was the last PMQs, and honestly, PMQs was utter rollicks today. I mean, it was deathly dull. They're not actually. It's theatre, darling. It's theatre for the uglies, showbiz for the uglies, and I just watched it and I thought, oh, I'm losing me will to live, man. Just can we not get to something a bit more exciting? Like, oi, Starmer, whatever happened to the Fun Boy 3? Or get into Ginger Growler. I noticed that there are some other people that have YouTube channels that have certainly started to use the term Ginger Growler. I was the first. Now, I know the infinite monkey theory, but when somebody else is using it, it's galling. And I don't mean the French word. Because they don't have a single new idea in their heads. Let me tell you about the Savile commitment. So these oiks, the Labour Party, and the Tory Party for that matter, and the Lib Dems, they're not really, in my view, they're not really. They've not had any power or anything for easily 100 years. I mean, you know, we had the Gang of Four in the 80s, and then the Liberal Democrats. So what they're liberal about? We'll legalise recreational gear, and well, I'm a sir, and is Kemi not good enough? Going to get a damehood or a baroness, as Thatcher did? She's not been PM. She won't get to be PM. Somebody else will take over that job. I'm not going to say who. Because they're talking about Liz Truss going to reform. You heard that? It was mentioned today. So I'm not quite sure when they're going to announce that. But the Labour Party are so scared, technical term, shitless, that any chance they get of doing reform and Farage down, they're taking it in the chamber. But the Savile commitment, it's an international treaties that Starmer would have known all about, Starmer signed the international treaties, didn't have to tell Parliament and didn't have to tell his own party, because it's an international treaties, not as in multiple, it's a treaties, I-S-E at the end. So it means the details of the Savile commitment that I've already told you about, that the mainstream media haven't told you about because they're keeping that particular powder dry. It means that whomever follows this government, that'll be the next government in however many years, because we don't even know how long Labour's going to last. It's not looking strong, that's for sure. But it means that whomever follows as the next government can't undo what this Labour government agrees with Europe. So, you know, backdoor Starmer took us back into the European super union via the back door. That's why I call him backdoor Starmer. He signed this so Europe knows that the right wing, if they are right wing at all, Farage and Reform, when they get into power, they can't undo, because these crooks in Europe, they're just telling you what to do. They're just telling you, shut up, pay your taxes, bend over, we're going to stick it up your arse. Lovely, said a spokesperson. And Europe doesn't want to have to go through what they went through with Brexit. Brexit 2, anyone? 17 million people voted to get rid of these corrupt cabal in Europe. Davos, if you wish, or Brussels, if you wish, however you want to term it. Ursula von der Leyen, bitch. Her, them, all of them. They've committed. So Starmer, being their attack dog in this country, has signed the Savile commitment so that any future government can't undo what this Labour government agrees with Europe. But let me tell you something. The shite over there, over the channel, most of them have no recollection of ever going to war with this country, because we don't have to. We've signed a bit of paper. Here, burn the fucker. They're saying, well, under international law, do we recognise the international law? In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, do we bollocks? So it's all these politicians. Oh, well, we've signed this, so we have to adhere to it. No, we don't. We can do anything we want. Literally, we can do anything we want. If we brought Afghanistanis, what was it, 30-odd thousand of them? If we brought all these Afghanistanis and spent nearly £1 billion spunking it to the Taliban, we can say to the Afghanistanis, oi, Alawen shite, off you go. The plane's waiting for you. You can take your family with you as well. But I will explain why that's not going to happen in just a moment. So the Labour Party have dropped a nuclear bomb. It hasn't gone off. It'll only go off when the new government gets in, and then they'll just tell us, you've signed the treaties, so you've got to adhere to it. We don't have to adhere to anything. We don't. We just have to have a leader that does the best for the British, as well as the English, the Scots, the Welsh and the Northern Irish, the British people first. But it makes my skin crawl that backdoor Starmer, he because obviously he's taken us back into Europe via the back door. That's why I call him backdoor Starmer. He's evil. He makes my skin crawl. He's evil. We still don't know anything about the Fun Boy 3 and the Four Tops, other than they make great music. But I said to you that Labour were a busted flush. Why would I say that? Well, you know the Unite Union that has kind of to Ginger Growler. She wasn't looking very happy in Prime Minister's questions, PMQs today. Unite have said to Labour that they won't support Labour if they continue with this course of action, or course of conduct, if you wish, if it's a legalese. So today, Starmer, it's my ball, I'm going home, you can't play footy without my ball, I'm going home. He's suspended 4 rebel MPs. It's all over what was going on in the House of Commons last week. All the concessions he had to make, and the I mean, it was a fairly complex paper that was going through, but it was the social care. So all the Labour MPs were like, "Oi, 2-tier, free gear, queer as." That's queer as folk. That's why I say it. I see you. He's evil without human regrets. Correct. So Starmer's suspended 4 rebel MPs. I understand that there's more coming. Comedy opening. Take that how you wish. If you've got the WhatsApp group for Portcullis House, you'll definitely see what's coming. And they've suspended these 4 rebel MPs, and I quote, over persistent breaches of party discipline. Now I'm thinking, they call them whips. So I was thinking, BDSM whips? Have they got dominatrixes in there? Is that the multiple of dominatrix? But they also said, so it's a quote from the spokesperson within the Labour Party. These 4 rebel MPs have been suspended for persistent breaches of party discipline. Some others have suggested, open quotes, persistent knobheadery. Is that a word? Dickhead, knobheadery? Close bracket. So I reckon there's more to come. More to come. Oh, Chris Price, that's an excellent comment. Are the rebel MPs still street tough? I don't think he's in the party anymore, is he? He'd make an excellent whip. Right, you Robbins, in there, or I'm going to chin you. Wonderful. Gets the job done. Bullying in the workplace is illegal, which means there should be no whips in Parliament, says Les Griffiths. Depends what they're using, Les. I mean, if they can bend the whole country over, mind you, it's just and if you've got somebody who loves to take train rides and loves his own Coca-Cola, then they can do anything. They literally can get away with anything, because for the moment, as I've said over the last few days, I believe that there will be, certainly over the summer, there will be another scandal, another Keir Starmer scandal. And it'll do for him this time, because the people that are making the decisions on whether he stays or goes, have you not noticed that he's not really been around the last few weeks? Oh, that's brilliant, Rusty Roamings. Yeah, Runcorn Rocky would sort them all out. Brilliant. 12-ounce gloves, anyone? Or either that, or they'll cut holes in your pockets. If you know, you know. Whipped into line, says Rich. Lammy scoffs all the walnut whips, English bottle cap. Yeah, Fat Lammy's gastric band. Act Like You Know was my favourite. Matthew Whedon says, all this talk of whips reminds me of Cleo Rockus. Oh, yeah, on Kenny Everett's video show. Whips have flies on all... Sorry, Les. Whips have files on all MPs, which is tantamount to blackmail. That's what politics runs on. Alan says, Rent Boy Gate has gone all very quiet. Of course it has. They're not allowing us to know anything. Oh, no. Just shut up, do as you're told, and bend over. Because Rachel from accounts is going to shag you again. So let's get to this 12-year-old in the union dress, because I'm going to ask you 1 for yes, 2 for no. I had a think about this today. Cogitated, if you wish. I see you. What scandal? Well, it's about to reveal itself, I see you. There will be another scandal around Starmer. But this scandal, because let me explain it before we get to the 12-year-old in the union dress. The way politics is working, it's just blackmail. I am going to buy, there's a book, I can't remember the author's name. It's One Nation Under Blackmail. And that's how the political elite now work. Because they do such, and I'm not suggesting this is Sir Keir Starmer, but they have enough on politicians so that the politicians do as they are told. So if it's increased taxes and then spunk a few billion over to Ukraine, we'll wash it in there. Everybody gets a mil each, as in a million. I'm not suggesting that has happened. But if Sniffy Zelensky, where's he gone? Knock, knock. Oh, yeah. Volodymyr who? Ah, well, that's the war in Ukraine over then. You haven't seen him for bloody ages, have you? Or Putin. Ray Norton, Starmer's favourite group, Boys to Men. You could say that, Ray Norton. I can't possibly comment. Fun Boy 3 and 4 tops for me. Fat Max Star says, Fat Lammy's gastric band. There's a memory. Oh, yeah, Act Like You Know. And Zoom. Zoom was kind of the mainstream crossover. English bottle. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Rusty Roamings. Whitney Webb. Thank you, Vixtex. So Whitney Webb has this book. It's called, is it One Nation Under Blackmail? I'm desperate to read it. Because I used to have time before I did all this stuff on YouTube. I used to read about 50 books a year. It was literally one a week. I devoured them. I've got a bloody library here with shit tons of books. But that seems like a very good insight that I want to have a look. Soul Rebel 82. Yeah, it was a few years ago. God Evans, where do you live? I live in a very rural area, but the towns are well infiltrated, awash. It's very scary. We're going to get to that, Lauren. We're going to get to the Afghanistanis in just a little while. Oh, brilliant. The Paulie Galtieri, small town boy, reminds me of someone. Vixtex, 100%. Have you read it, Vixtex? Is it worth my papers on it for a week or so? So thank you for the continued comments. I love. Keep commenting about the stuff that I'm talking about. But I want to get to this 12-year-old because I saw that. Les Griffith says, I'm old-fashioned. I believe all schools should have a strict uniform code and no dress as you wish days. Interesting, but it was a diversity day. The school had arranged it. They'd ratified it and everything, and the teacher was doing it. Let me just have a look. I think it was English bottle cap. Yeah, English bottle cap. The 12-year-old's father claimed that other students, including one dressed as a farmer, were also turned away for their clothing choices. It's interesting because when the mainstream media just kind of go for the jugular, they pick a victim. And I am absolutely shit sure, technical term, that, and forgive me potty mouth, the Hugh Bovril gave me carte blanche earlier. And if you're walking your dog tomorrow morning, laughing your cap off, you're wrong. There's the diversity day was arranged, but the media, the mainstream media, are picking a bit like Greg Wallace and Jonty Rhodes. I said this last night. Who gives a flying about Jonty Rhodes and Greg Wallace? Greg Wallace banked the rights, but he's now saying, "Well, I'm neurodivergent, mate. If you're being improper, then it's going to come back and bite you in the arse, your own arse." But then Jonty Rhodes gone. Jonty Rhodes has gone, I wouldn't have said that. I don't remember saying that. So all he's got to do, and I do wish Jonty Rhodes well, if BBC HR don't have clear and present evidence of what he's done, and they're saying there's no more work or we're not renewing your contract, that's very, very naughty, because the BBC might just be wanting new presenters just to refresh the show after 20 years. Who knows? But either way, Jonty Rhodes got a case. HR should be providing the details of what he said and evidence that, corroborative evidence. Let's get to the 12-year-old at this school. Ray Norton, Macron and wife, Starmer and wife, reminds me of a film, Three Men and a Lady. What's Paulie said now? Right, this young girl who, I mean, 12-year-old. I've told you before. In law, 12-year-olds don't. That they are protected. Certain things they are protected, and so I looked at the reportage yesterday and today, and it's the media are forcing this story on you and I. Why? Because they want us to, this moral indignation. They want our rage to rise up. They want to control us. It's an old boxing adage. The man that angers you controls you. So the government that angers you controls you. It's just another fear porn, or it's just another tool that they use to control you. Right-wing thugs, everything. Moral indignation. It just gets you angry so they can control you. But I looked at the reportage over 3 days. It was a story that would have gone into the newspapers, and most people would have gone, yeah, all right, not a problem. Unfair, but they're stoking this division. They are stoking it. And I've told you, some commentators believe that we're going to have some kind of civil war in this country. Not sure I would go that far, but it will get to a point where people have had enough. And I think the ballot box, will that do it for us? No, because I am making a prediction 3 years ahead of time, and you can watch this again when Farage and Reform get in. Be careful what you wish for, because he's going to shag our NHS big time. He's going to make sure that you have insurance. He's not going to stop. All politicians are corrupt. All of them, in my view. All of them. I mean, you haven't asked the question of a man that could be the future Prime Minister. Did he short the shares? Did he short NatWest shares? And how much did he make? He can do that. He's a money man. He comes from a money background. Do what the hell he wants, so long as it's not illegal. So the 12-year-old, I believe this story is being pushed. There's not much to it. It's not got legs. It's done today. So I read it all and I thought, what is this? I looked at the story, read the story, the newspapers over the last few days. What is this? And my first question to me was, why isn't this being treated as a hate crime? Why? It's racist. Some people may say it's xenophobic, but if you are separating a school child from the rest of the class because of what they are wearing, and it's pride in this country, I think. Why isn't the teacher and the school being prosecuted? Why isn't the teacher and the school in a court of law? Because the Rozzers would have been, if it had been me or you, and they thought that we were Peter Lynch, he went to one of the demonstrations and didn't really do anything, in my view. But the cops got him in jail. Lucy Connolly, 31 months for a tweet. So why isn't this being treated as a hate crime? Why isn't this being treated as racism? We've got any amount of racism allegations in this country, but interestingly, it's only one way. The school and the teacher need to be brought in front of a judge. They need to be charged with offences because there's now legislation on the book. Enough is enough. A 12-year-old. They think they know everything. A 12-year-old. Don't know whether you did or not. So I'm going to ask you. Well, let's have one of the votes of tonight. Should this, the union dress and the union hat, it's only a Union Jack when it's flown on the jack staff on a boot. Why would you be happy if this was treated as a hate crime? Racism. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Would you be happy if this was treated as a hate crime? 1 for yes, 2 for no. This story has gone around the world. I know, Matthew, but it's not. It's kind of a story, but it's not a story. Amanda Sky says no, as does blimey. Everybody's voting tonight. Terry Lord Wuckfit makes a very good point. 2, don't sink to that level. But if the table was turned, we'd be called racist. We'd be called all kinds of names. Hate crime towards the British flag. What would have happened if she'd gone to school as a Templar? I will not play their games, Angelic Inspiration says. This was discrimination, though. Yeah, they separated her from the rest of the class. Because, look, do you know that they're going to give sex education to 9-year-olds? Let's just park that for the moment. I will come back to it. You know that they're going to give sex education to under 9s. What? Please, 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 somebody. I'm a fucking alien. Why are they wanting to teach children sex education under 9 years old? They can't make an informed decision. 12-year-old is the cutoff in law. So why are schools wanting to teach children under 9 years old sex education? It's enough for them to be able to come to terms with their own emotions, let alone add all the stuff that goes on with, going through puberty and, women's or females' bodies changing and things happening. I hear they are discussing lowering the age of consent to 12 years old. Fucking hell, Bad Wolf Project. I know the elite, the kiddie fiddling, scum sucking pond life, they've been bringing the age of consent down gradually, and they'll do it over 100 years. They don't care. But if you're bloody Afghanistani, and we are going to get there, if you're Afghanistani, you can buy a girl, marry her at 6-year-old, and even the Taliban was so sickened to their stomach, they pulled him to one side and said, mate, what the fuck are you doing? 6-year-old. You should at least wait till she's 9. And I read this and thought, what the fuck, man. Taliban. Shagging goats and kids since the 1980s. That's when Russia invaded Afghanistan. But it's fact. I mean, they're coming to this country. It's kind of, they can get away with it in their country. So do they bring their laws to this country so they can start shagging kids? No, fucking hell, no. If I was the dad of a young girl and some filthy scum sucking pond life wanted to marry my child under 9 years old, I'd be having a very stern word with him. Very stern. Already happening, but not legally yet. I see you. I get that. Yes, Harriet Harman and Yvette Cooper. What they're trying to bring it down. Harriet Harman has a very questionable background. Wasn't she one of the people that was promoting some paedophilic organization and trying to make them legit? Man. I mean, and look at us, society. That's it. Thank you, Paulie Galtieri. Pie. Not as in hairy pie. Pie. The paedophilic something exchange. Information exchange. So paedophiles could exchange information. Thank you, Rich. Matthew Whedon. Yes, she was. What about Harriet's husband? Go on, Jane Psychic. Tell me more. I've probably heard it, but I can't for the life of me recall it at the moment. Homeschooling, says Angelic Inspirations, also being attacked now. So they want control. So the thing that I can't grasp at all, and it's look, I'll go out of this life with only one regret, that I never had kids. Had opportunities, had women to marry and be the mother of my kids, but career. And now I'm an older boy, I'm just thinking, That's actually a shame. But as you know from last night, I'm not going to go into it again tonight, but I had to stop the abuse. So I took a decision very early on in my life. When all of it started, when I was 5, it went on between 5 and 9 years old. When it started, I made a vow to me, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. Out of Sunderland, out of this family. And I did. I kept my word to myself. But I also said to myself at early doors, the abuse will stop with me. I'm not perpetrating anything more for people to go through what I've been through. But Max Starr says, I've had enough of everybody in Britain thinking that we can vote our way out of this. I'm with you, Mac. Unless the Labour Party really screw this up over the next year, and it'll be their Blackpool conference in September that will make the decision for everyone. Wasn't that what Panic by the Smiths and Mortuary was about? Savile and Pie. Wisdom T. Kirk. I think you might be right, actually. Labour are not going to cock this up. They want power. They want power for the next 4 years. Like Rachel from Accounts. I wish she would just go off. Like Foxtrot Oscar. And then when she gets there, Foxtrot Oscar some more. And Labour conferences in Liverpool this year. Oh, English bottle cap, is it? Jeremy, go on, Jeremy. Somewhere left of Stalin. And even now, there was a poll yesterday where the new party that Jeremy Corbyn and the Sultana are going to front was polling more than the Labour Party. I'm telling you. Labour's finished, done, over, dead. That dodo is not coming back from nothing. So I'm glad that they're going to Liverpool for the conference, not Blackpool. Because Liverpool is hard left. They don't muck about. I mean, you know how I feel about my father. My father was a very left-wing Labour politician. And he stood shoulder to shoulder with the striking dockers in Liverpool. He loved being in Liverpool because the Scousers politically were his kind of people. And I'm glad that it's in Liverpool because the Scousers won't bugger about. They won't. And there's a socialism within Liverpool that is really supportive of each other. And that's why, when I was younger, I was a card-carrying member of the Labour Party because I believed that society and people should be a certain way and we should all help each other and look after each other. I still do charity work for absolutely no pay whatsoever, just so I can help other people. That's the left wing in me. But I might go up for the Labour Party conference. Cooey! Free gear! 2-tier! Queer as fucking folk! Starmer! Oi! Boy! Here! Oh, just get rid of your bloody minders, man. Just get rid of your, oh, yes, well, they'll protect me. Well, you go to fucking Arsenal, don't you? Mind you, being an Arsenal supporter, he probably needs protection. Derek Hatton. Work with him, Gene Psychic. Oi, 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 oi. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. He's as mad as a box of frogs. No, I'm not. Ian McGee says, we don't mess around, you're right. I know, I love Scousers. Love them, because they're exactly the same. They have a port, they have a river, they have hard-working, grafting folk, and they understand what life's about. And the Beatles. Sunderland never had the Beatles, but we know what's what, as does the Tyne, Newcastle, the Barcodes, as do Middlesbrough, Tees. Any town or city with a river running through it gets life. They get it. There will be protests outside the conference, but nothing will happen in Liverpool. The executive committee control access. Of course they do. Can you imagine? Hello, can we? Ginger Crowler, can I have a word? Yeah, theatre of the mind. Go on, I'm not from the BBC. Me bollocks haven't dropped yet. Can you help me out? The Pop-Eyed Wazza. Oh, good to see you, Pop-Eyed Wazza. Lovely to have you in the body of the Kirk this evening. The letter people should really be quiet, as the boat people are against some same sexual relations. Oh, yeah. But how is this not really an outrage for the boat people and other protected species, perhaps? Terry Wookford says, we had Brian Ferry. He's from Washington, technically not Sunderland. Where I lived was the other side of the A19 from Nissan. And Brian Ferry was from over there, not Sunderland. The fog on the Tyne is all mine, all mine. The fog on the Tyne is all mine, why you bugger. Lyrics! Hang on, Alan says we had paper lace. Oh, my word. Terry Wookford, are you from Washington? Notice how the pronunciation is slightly different from the local people. We don't say Washington, although which American president, his family came from Washington? It's like Sunderland. You don't say Sunderland, no. Yeah, Washington. It's kind of Washington. You swallow it. I've heard that about people in Washington. Ian McGee says, after Southport and Liverpool team parade, it's not going to go well for Labour. It's not. Have you noticed how the man that they dragged out of the car, the whole story's just disappeared? Was he intelligence? What was he? What was going on there? There's absolutely nothing. Hang on, Kerry Hawkins says we had Slade. Oh, goodbye to Jane. Nicola Mooney says, Sniffy, very quiet. I know he is. He's probably off his tits. English bottle cap by George. George's granddad lived in the old hall, it wasn't George Washington, was it? I thought it was the peanut farmer. Original family name was Wessington. Oh, is that why it's called Wessington Way? Near the Nissan factory. We're from nearby. We just called it the New Road because it was new. Didn't call it Wessington Way. Oh, I say Washington. We're going to Wessington. Who was in court the other day? Brian Ferry. Rich, have you seen the Don't Stop the Dance video? Yeah. I see you. I lived in Sunderland once. First time I heard the word crap, I was shocked. Champion, another Sunderland word. Mind you, another northeastern word. We had the real thing. Oh, Gene Sadik. Can I just tell you the real thing? You're getting me onto music now, so I know you're distracting me. But Chris and Eddie Amu. Chris Amu had one of the best soul voices worldwide. Interesting, young sir. Thank you for that. It's a lie. It is a lie. So Chris Amu from The Real Thing, I mean, they had a B-side to, was it You to Me at Everything? It was called Walking on the Chinese Wall, because the Amu brothers had amazing soulful voices. They were used on adverts, but once The Real Thing broke, they were just superstars in my view. Thank you. I'm not going to use your name, obviously. And there was, I'm trying to think of there was one of The Real Thing had a real difficulty with hard gear. I think it was probably H. Might not be able to use it here, but you'll know what I'm talking about. H. It's the first letter of the hard recreational gear. It's the worst kind. And he was strung out and hooked on it, and eventually the band had to say no more, and it was shortly afterwards he died from an OD. But The Real Thing, in my view, if I'm allowed to, best voices, one of the best bands this country's ever produced, and we've produced some crackers, Beatles, Oasis, whichever way you want to go. But when it comes to soul, it's always the Americans, and The Real Thing were really special. Scousers, of course, but really special. Can we have hang on a second. No, Mephistopheles. Yeah, wrong. Milli Vanilli did not cover The Real Thing, did they? Alan says, can we have a Motown and Northern Soul quiz, AD? Ooh, Alan, you've tickled me fancy. Bad Wolf Project doesn't want of the Real Thing breed dogs. Yeah, it was Chris Amu the singer, the lead singer. Eddie, hang on. Yeah, Chris Amu was the lead singer, and I'm sure Eddie was his brother, younger brother, and I think Eddie is kind of touring with the real thing, but they haven't got Chris's voice anymore. And I was going to tell you about walking on the Chinese. No, I'm getting tired now, so I'm losing my faculties. It wasn't Walking on the Chinese Wall, but it was one of the Real Things songs that was a B-side, and Phil Bailey of, I'm sure it was Walking on the Chinese Wall, of Earth, Wind and Fire, covered it. Yeah, Rich, Golden Brown, exactly. What's a Mara? You got no respect. A Mara's a mate. Mara is your mate. Oh, the old Bovril. Now relegated to number 2. I've lost my crown. I think, who was it? Lauren Taylor early, who was number 1. Really proud of that. So UB40 also we had. Yeah, I've never done, how can I be very careful with this? I mean, I worked in Birmingham for Buzz FM for quite a while. So met some of UB40, and they're growing up. I wasn't into any gear at all. I was just deathly boring and vanilla. But the Brummeyes were, and UB40 is. See, I'm not a fan of red wine. I have tried to like it, but I'm not. Some of their other stuff, I do like a lot. I tell you who I do like, The Beat and Wankin' Wodger. Yeah, it's... Mirror in the bathroom, please come see. The door is locked, just you and me. Can I take you to a restaurant that's got glass tables so I can watch yourself while you are eating? God, hang on, was that... Yeah, that was The Beat. I've been kicked out from the King's Court Circle. Have you, Theo Bovril? Gary Hawkins, The Beat, yes. And I saw them live at Gateshead Stadium with the Police headlining, and half the stadium was full. So there was about, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 people there, but you would have thought that the Police would have sold it out. U2 were supporting them, and I remember seeing Mr. Hewson climb up the speakers on the gantry and then just be hanging there thinking he's... and The Beat played a set along with Gang of Four, if you can remember that band, and The Beat were just magnificent. I loved them. So UB40 I've tried. Some of their songs I like, but the Beat were always my and the Selector and the Specials were my two-tone people. But UB40, I think the yes, Wankin' Wodger. I said, Chris, you're wrong. AI says it was Children. Oh, wonderful. Wisdom T. Kirk, thank you for that. Children of the Ghetto by Phil Bailey. So it was the Amu brothers that did Children of the Ghetto as a B-side to one of their singles, and I think it might have been You to Me Are Everything. Or was it Let's Go Disco? Let's go! Not the U2 spy plane. No, Mephistopheles. Special, says Kerry Hawkins. You see, the minute we get to music, you're away. You're off and running, and I'm just trying to keep up with your coattails. Tyler is my fave UB40 tune. Not sure of that one, Rich. Wasn't Precious Wilson bloody beautiful? I can't stand the rain. Against my window. Brings back memories. I can't stand the rain. I can't stand the rain was Eruption. Was it Precious Wilson that did the lead singing? Paul Mabley, were you a rude boy? Might have been. I was definitely so the kind of the mod stuff. I wasn't greasy haired rocker, and I wasn't into the pretty boy synth stuff. But I loved a bit of madness, bit of Selector, bit of all that, and dressing up nice and smart, nice, especially as a teenager. Eruption, says Alan, yeah. I can't stand the rain on my window. Wisdom Tika, what you doing? It's July, man. What's everyone's favourite Christmas song? I'll go first. Do they know Ian McGee, Is it not YMCA? Best tune ever, in my humble opinion. Oi, Tannenbaum. What? Song by Gary Tyler. Oh, interesting. I'm aware of a soul singer called Gary Taylor. I had enough of music. Oh, you grumpy old tart. Les, man. Look, I'm just kind of running with this for 5 minutes. Fucking hell. You're better than that. I mean, you stood up for me at the beginning, so I'm ever so thankful for that. You'll Never Walk Alone for the Scousers. Not Kitty, Mistletoe and Wine. No, Paulie Gallieri, definitely not. UB40, Silent Witness, best song. I'm going to have to go and listen to their canon and see which ones are my favourites. Disaster Area says, saw UB40 support the Pretenders in 1980. Uptown top ranking, Althea and Donna from memory. Lauren Taylor. Rich, song about Gary Tyler. He was on death row. Oh, right. Okay, got it. Shut up in your face. Lord Wookfit, I can chuck you out, you wrong'un. Poetic and melodious. Not good enough to wipe my backside. Kept Vienna off #1, as in Ultravox. Saw Madness at the Odeon in Birmingham. Madness. Driving Home for Christmas. Gary, stop that. You'll make me cry. Because that whenever I went to see my mum and dad, whether I was living in London or whether I was living in Edinburgh, it was the song that I'd put on my car stereo, and then I'd be off to go and see my mum and dad for Christmas. Just a little reminder, while we've got over 200 people in the body of the Kirk, I am going to get onto other stuff now. Please smash the likes so we can get it over 200 for the... we have more than enough people in the body of the Kirk. So if you could, that would be wunderbar. And we're now going to get into something that I know you're going to like. So, Les, I hope you're still in the body of the Kirk, because I think you'll be impressed. So I'm going to read it as is, because it involves the Rozzers. It involves the thin blue line. But it's Northumbria Police. Not that I know them well, obviously, but I'm aware of who Northumbria Police are. And I will use the term lesbian because it's all in language, and I mean no disrespect by using the word lesbian. I don't want to use LGBTQ because it's too much of a mouthful. But a gender critical lesbian has won a case against Northumbria Police, who, and I quote, breached their oath, as in every police officer has to give this oath, to act impartially. Because this woman says that by participating in a pride march, they breached their oath to act impartially. And she's won the case against Northumbria Police, who the court agreed failed to act impartially by marching at a Newcastle Pride parade. Now, you know what's going to come out of this. She's called Lindsay, and she claimed that the force's uniformed participation in last year's march broke the professional oath sworn by each police officer to act with impartiality at work. It's obviously a landmark High Court ruling today. The judges found that there would have been issues in policing with impartiality if, for example, an attempted counter-demonstration by gender-critical people broke out. Lesbians are not happy. They're all being sort of corralled into LGBTQ+. So the court filings outline how Lindsay entirely accepts that it was necessary for the event to be policed, but she objects to what she sees as the force and or members of the force associating themselves with the views of supporters of gender ideology and transgender activists by actively participating. What do you make of that? That's a High Court ruling. So a lesbian has stood up to what she saw was not being able to police according to their oath. I mean, I kind of get on the one hand that the cops, the police are always getting a kicking and a shoeing, but those people at the top that don't know policing, if it's stood up and bit the tits off, they my view, they've never been on the streets for 20 odd years. Once you get past sort of superintendent, you're at the top of the food chain. They're never going to know what it's about. I understand from research years ago that Police Scotland, this would have been 2015, 2016, Police Scotland got those above sort of chief inspector and chief inspector. So it goes inspector, chief inspector, superintendent, chief superintendent, assistant chief constable, deputy chief constable, and chief constable. Police Scotland said to them all, you're police officers. Once a month or once every 6 weeks, we're going to have all the senior officers on the ground, out there. I mean, all the, the PCs, the cops on response were kind of shitting themselves because, well, it could be the end of their career. But it worked well. Not in England. Can you imagine? The English higher-ups in policing, they wouldn't allow that in a month of Sundays, having to go out and do some work. But I'll tell you this, and this is a grift, every single police force. Do you want to know why the chief constable goes out on sort of New Year's Eve into New Year's Day? Because for New Year's Day and other bank holidays, they get triple pay. Can you imagine the money that they're on? Hundreds of thousands. And suddenly they get, for one day, for going in, how are you? Glad hand, people. Yes, 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 brilliant. How's things on the ground? Yeah, 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 wonderful. And then it gets to 1 o'clock in the morning and they've fecked off. Triple pay. Just saying. For a friend. So now we have, I'm going to ask you another question. So do you believe that Lindsay is right? That police can't police a Pride March impartially if they are taking part? So it means they can't have their wagons painted with rainbows. They can't have any of their uniform painted with rainbows. They can't do all the dancing that they do. They can at what's its face in London, the August Bank Holiday weekend. Terry Wookford says, part of the interview process for senior Met police positions is taking an 8-inch dildo where the sun don't shine without lube. They'll enjoy that. So do you think this ruling by the High Court, Northumbria Police against Lindsay, is the right thing? That they should not be policing a Pride March with anything, and it has to be done impartially. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Gene Psychic, thank you. Notting Hill Carnival. They're looking at how they're going to police that in the future. 1, it's a start. Will they also remove their gang badge? Maybe, Ian McGee. Yes, the lesbian is right. Paulie Galtieri. So everybody, there's no one's saying no to this. They're saying that it is the right thing to do. But as ICU says, it's all a game. Every single person, this is almost 100%. I mean, I read this today, and nobody else is covering it as far as I'm aware. I read this today and I thought, common sense. At last, common sense. And the audience to this channel, it's literally 100%. Lionel Layton says, police should police according to the law. Correct. Thank you, Lionel Layton. Soul Rebel, we need a mandatory 5-year sentence for twerking, Adrian. It's like friggin' animals. Interesting. Terry Wookford says, they are there to police, not to participate. I mean, I think the kind of, give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Take that how you wish. It was, the police were dancing, whether it's Notting Hill or Northumbria Pride, Newcastle Pride, to be inclusive. But it's turned round on themselves because they went too far. What did Terry say? Oh, right, okay. Wisdom T. Kirk, LGBTQ plus is on trend. Even Douggee joined. That's very funny, Wisdom T. Kirk. Lauren Taylor, unless they have walked the streets, they have no bloody idea. Correct. The higher ups, they're just like, yeah, well, you know, I get, because they're all roughly paid the same. But they need to go out and roll around with the scroats. They need to go out and make arrests. They need to. Who was it that told me this? In Police Scotland, one of the controllers there was something going on one of the motorways. I'm not too sure on the detail because it was told to me bloody hell 10, 12 years ago. And the then chief constable was going along one of the main arterial routes. And the controller, because they all have their radio, and whilst they have their radio and employed by a police force, they are all active officers. And the controller said to the chief constable, do you mind stopping off and just having a look at this? We'll get somebody to back you up. And the chief constable thought it was wonderful. I mean, he's now one of the deputies at the Met, but he thought it was wonderful that he'd been asked as the chief constable to do some proper policing. And I think that's possibly where the idea came from, of having the higher-ups out on the street on a Friday night. They don't just chuck them in a quiet, like Tuesday or whichever night, if it's ever quiet. Interesting, Stuart. I'll get to that in a second. So he thought it was wonderful, and he wanted all of his higher-ups to kind of get out there, but they've got to get on the streets. Got to get on the streets, got to start wrestling around with the scroats, making arrests and doing stuff and getting out there in the bars and clubs. And but that is proper... Oh, shit. That's proper policing. Sorry, I've just spilt me hibiscus. I'm not bothered about the keyboard. I'm more bothered about losing me hibiscus. So everybody is agreeing with, hang on, Bad Wolf Project. Hang on, let me just do this. We had an officer who was formerly the station cleaner, became a PCSO while still cleaning the station, then left and joined as a full-time copper. He's now a DCI. Oh, I say, wonderful. All police should take turn on the beat regardless of rank. Correct, Rusty's ramblings. I'm with you. It gives a police force a perspective that they ordinarily wouldn't have. All the desk jockeys who've never been on the streets for 10, 15, 20 years, it's about time they got out there. This is every force in England. They should be doing this. Not taking orders from politicians. Reg D says, so does that mean all the police vehicles will have to be taken back to standard police livery? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. This is a high court. She's won in the high court. It'd be interesting to see whether Northumbria police spunk more taxpayers' money in trying to argue it or just accept it. Lauren Taylor, I'm ashamed I wore a skirt and carried a handbag in Rochdale alone, whilst over the bloody hill in West Yorkshire, all the girls were paired. You with a male. Ripper years. Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know the Yorkshire Ripper. And this is just a take from me. There's no corroboration. There's no evidence otherwise. But Jimmy Savile had a flat. And if he had been so minded, he could have seen the Yorkshire Ripper do what he did to one of his victims. She died. And then Jimmy Savile makes good friends with the Yorkshire Ripper in whichever hospital unit the Yorkshire Ripper was kept in. How does that sit with you? He could see from his penthouse. I think they've knocked those flats down. Mephistopheles must hurt being fisted in there. Des Ashton says, I'm LG TV, OLED, 4K. Let's get to the end of the comments. So let's talk about this Afghanistan influx. So according to the press today, an email, a data breach, put 100,000 Afghanistanis at risk. Now, 18,000 have been given safety in the UK. The airlift from the Taliban cost 850 million quid. What the hell were they using Concorde? Thank you, Rich. Thank you, as ever, for your support. And the reason why we've only just found out about it this week, and I promise you, this is going to be covered up by tomorrow, because there's political will involved and the politicians don't want to be embarrassed. And this is not Labour. This was done 3 years ago. So it's the Tories that took out the super injunction, and they used taxpayers' money to pay for the super injunction. They used that in the courts to cover all of this up. So the Tories and Labour knew, and they're saying it was a data breach, an email put 100,000 at risk. Can I just say one thing? Utter rollicks. Absolutely utter rollicks. Do you know why? This story's been rumbling on for years, because when the Americans and the Brits left Afghanistan, because they did, once they secured the poppy fields and the oil, and got the oil out of the Caspian Sea straight after 9/11, 20 years ago, straight down Tajikistan, Turkmenistan to a warm water port in Pakistan. That is still there, getting the gas and the oil out of the Caspian Sea. Everything that goes on in the world is all about the oil and the gas. Everything. They're bankers' wars. Everybody wants to make a shit ton of money. And in this case, what the Brits and the Americans did was they used translators, they used people in villages so that they could speak with the locals, and they could gain the trust of the locals, the little villagers, the little goat shaggers. They were able, hearts and minds, special forces et al., were able to go into a village and speak with someone. And what the Brits and the Americans did was, when they pulled out of Afghanistan, they had promised the translators that they could come to Britain and or America. And the Brits and the English left them there. Left them. The Taliban and the locals knew exactly who they were, and they were putting them to death. Fraternized with the infidel. No, they started killing them. And all the translators and the people that worked with the army and the military in both America and the UK were saying, hang on, you promised us. We then worked with you. And then some of them were in the army. They were badged in the army, but most were translators. The Brits and the Americans went, no, we didn't do that. So 3 years ago, the political will went to the courts and took a super injunction out and used that super injunction to cover all of this scandal up. So I don't know how many translators died. I don't know how many people that were either badged in our military or the American military. But so an email put 100,000 Afghanistanis at risk. No, they were screaming at the military, British government, American government, to get them out of Afghanistan because they were going to be put to death by the Taliban. And they've had to pay nearly £1 billion to the Taliban, 850 million, to get them airlifted out of Afghanistan. 18,000 given safety in the UK. So there's the rub. Given safety from what? The Taliban? In my view, Taliban are easily bought off. This is a massive story that will be closed down. It will be, because people like me and others will start asking questions, because we have memory of this, of the Afghanistanis being left to die. And the Afghanistanis were screaming at the Americans and the Brits to get them out. English bottle cap. Stephen House was Chief Constable of Police Scotland and faced significant criticism for his leadership during a tragic incident on the M9 motorway where it took police 3 days to respond. Now, I know that story. That was, yes, he was criticised, and I will, not yet, but I will give you information that will take your breath away. So what happened was a car crashed, and the male driver died fairly quickly. But somebody sitting on top of a hill, I think it was a local farmer, rang the police and said, look, it's been a car crash. I think there may be people inside. And Police Scotland never acted on it. And his female partner they got to her 3 days later. She was suffering from hypothermia and was, did she die? But I just know that the criticism was enough for Sir Stephen House to leave Police Scotland. And then I was in London. So I was living in Edinburgh at the time. All this was going on, which is why I know some of the story, because it was all over the papers. And then I came down to London, and I'm just sitting there minding my own business in my hotel room. And I'm sure the whole hotel heard me. So Stephen House comes on the telly as a Met police officer, like, high up the food chain. And I just thought, me? It's Sir Stephen House. What the hell's he doing down here in London? But he'd gone from the Met up there. And I do believe that Police Scotland, there was 8, as I remember the reportage in the newspapers, there were 8 police forces in Scotland. So what they did was, because the plan is to make them regional down here, because there's 43 police forces in England and Wales. So they've done it in Scotland, 8 into 1, big police force. And what they're looking at now is they're looking at creating police forces regionally. So take the northeast that I know best. So you've got Northumbria, you've got Cleveland, North Yorkshire, and North Yorkshire is the biggest county in this country. It's over 3,000 square miles. And you've got the coastline, you've got York, and you've got Harrogate, and you've got Middlesbrough and Stockton for Cleveland. Northumbria goes all the way through down to Sunderland, I think. And they're going to amalgamate all that, so then they can put their specialisms together. So scenes of crime, CID. So they will save money by amalgamating them all together. But they learned that. When did Police Scotland start? I was in Scotland. I was in Edinburgh, 2017. So it must have started around 2015. Was it not April Fool's Day? Rich says they're looking at regional forces. Yeah, they're going to do what they did with Police Scotland. And that's why I'm sure it was the head of the Met, Mark Rowley, came out last week and was talking about amalgamating certain things and having specialist police officers amalgamate and join up. How long before English becomes the second language in the UK? The old Bovril, I think we're already there. Mind you, there's 60 odd of us, so it might take a little while longer. Terry Wookford says, and when they amalgamate, response times will turn to shit. Still shit nowadays. Agreed. There's not enough cops. There's never enough cops. So if your house gets done, 3 weeks response time. They might give you an appointment. 2013, Police Scotland amalgamated. Was it 2013? Wow, really? God, that's 12 years ago. English bottle cap. Police Scotland was officially formed on April 1st, 2013. Bloody hell. What about Welsh, Cornish and Gaelic? I will say, Gene, while I was in Wales, hardly any of the Welsh speak Welsh, like the original language. Gaelic in Scotland, very few of them speak Gaelic. They all speak English. So what I did when I went into South Wales, I tried to learn some of the Welsh language. Pwy yw'ch tad nawr te? Who's your daddy now then? And what was the other one? I think Gene might know this. Tush Dane Bob Sice. I'm not going to give you the English translation. Gene's probably laughing now. I see you. Happened to me. The police told me to leave it. Car in a ditch on a lovely country road. I went down, but the car was empty. Could have been the same thing. Yeah. Look, the police forces, because when I was at Century 106, I went out with Leicestershire Police as a media observer. I've done it in London. Where else have I done it? Northeast. So as a media observer, you go out with the cops. And I talk to the cops. And I support the response cops, because they have to deal with some god-awful things. But the desk jockeys need to get out. And when there's not a cop, there's not a car, not a vehicle. Hang on, Kerry says, thinking about selling up to go live in Wales. Nice little small holding. It's beautiful, Kerry. It is. I mean, I prefer South Wales to North Wales, and I love out near the Gower. The Gower is breathtaking. Get yourself out west. I mean, you're miles and miles and hours away from the English border, from Cardiff, Cardiff. Some of the places in South Wales are breathtaking. Breathtaking. So I think the 2012 Olympics in London was meant to be looked after by G4S, and G4S couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, in my view. So G4S just said, no, give it back to the police, give it back to the police. But I'm sure there was a plan for G4S to take over some of the periphery things in policing, like, I don't know, transport prisoners from cells to jail or stuff like that, that it doesn't necessarily need a police officer as such. Alan, North Wales speak Welsh when an Englishman enters a pub, which is why I walk in and go, Pwyok tad nawr te. You know, is he speaking Welsh? So I was at my charity weekend, the Mankind Project weekend. Thank you, Max Starr. You're most welcome, and thank you for the support. Thank you to everyone who's helped the channel this evening. So I'm there, and there's a Welsh guy with me, and I went up to him and I said, I speak Welsh. He said, do you? I said, yeah. Pwyok tad nawr te. He's like, what's that? I said, who's your daddy now then? He said, where'd you get that from? I said, he invented it. Oh, do you speak much else Welsh? I said, I'm not conversational in it, but I'll give it a go. So, but I had the best time in South Wales. The best time. Same in Scotland. Once they work you out and you're straight up and down and you've got integrity and authenticity, they love you. They love you. But it's like life. If anybody's a liar, a proven self-admitted liar, then people are just, they won't touch them with a barge pole, other than those that can't rub two IQ points together. Nick Buckles, head of G4S Security Division, resigned because of the Olympic fiasco. Wasn't it, the leader of the Tory party, the parliamentary Tory party, Theresa May, isn't her husband a shareholder at G4S? And she was the Home Secretary at one point. I mean, no conflict of interest there, Theresa. Hey, so I'm sure her husband's got a massive shareholding. Kerry Hawkins, I can swear in Welsh. They tried to teach me, Kerry, but I can't remember. I can remember pop to ping is the Welsh for microwave, which I think is wonderful. I mean, how expressive is that? Pop to ping. It's exactly as what it says on the tin. I think I've only ever known 3 people who can speak Cornish, and I grew up in Cornwall. Nothing better than a bit of Cornish cream, Abby. We have all these dialects. We have all these. They're all going to be lost because, you know, the invaders are going to come in and want us to speak Punjabi or something. Or Afghanistani now. Oh, I mean, how much H have they brought in with them? Because the poppies are worth a few bob. How green was my valley, says Paul Mabley. Green, green grass of home. Gog a gog. English bottle cap. Are you getting me to swear in Welsh? You're wrong. What? Oh, yes. We did that ages ago. What's Coffee Bean 100 in Welsh? It's wonderful. I think it had Caring Understanding 90s type in it somewhere. Gene Psychic says, North Wales very tight-knit. I'm an adopted Welsh 16%. Ooh. Philip May was rumoured to have shares in G4S, but that turned out to be bullshit. Did it, Terry? Or was it just one of those apocryphal tales that, oh, he's got shares in G4S, Theresa May? I mean, I'm sure politically they were adept at making sure that nobody found out. Tablock Tracy, learn to speak like Tablock Tracy on 199 for a 4-week course. 1 lesson per week. Order now, get it in 2028. Welsh Hills, beautiful. Gene Psychic says, I identify as Liverpudlian, still loved and accepted though. Well, you know, North Wales is not that far away from the Scousers, is it? Right, I think we'll call it a day there. I had so much to talk about tonight. So much that some of it, I'm sure the police stuff, the Northumbria stuff, won't really be hitting the mainstream media till tomorrow and or Friday. But remember, there is a live. It's the 200th live on Sunday. And to all those nearly 200 people in the body of the Kirk at the moment, please smash the likes if you haven't done it already. Another 22 when we get it over 200, if we could. Had tickets to see Jethro, but he sadly passed away. I like his humour. He's very funny. Very, very funny. Take oath like the gypsy. Don't know what that means. Theo Bovril, thank you very much for your kind words. Rev was distracted all the live. LOL. I know there was the stuff going on, but we'll leave it at that. I think we will recongregate in the body of the Kirk. Hopefully, you've had all the Battenberg because it's going off after 4 nights. I don't want to be able to leave it in the body of the Kirk in the kitchen with Sister Mary until Sunday. So take it with you if you want. Nosda. And don't forget the altar wine. That doesn't go off, though. So we can recork that. And be well. So thank you for your likes, your subscriptions. Please try and get it over 200 before I finish talking. So those people in the body of the Kirk, smash the likes, please. It does help. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Rusty's Roamings. And don't forget, because it'll be a longer one. I mean, I know you can handle a good length. So it'll be a longer one on Sunday because we'll have a bit of fun. And thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. Always has been. That's my real name. I'm thinking of changing it by deed poll. Ernest. Wherever you go, whatever you do, be safe, be well, good health. Don't forget the Battenberg. And remember, this is not a show. This is a mission. And the mission continues Sunday, 8 p.m. See you then. Enjoy tonight, if I'm allowed to. And I'll see you Sunday.